Hello, fellow victims of big ink. We've all been there, staring in disbelief at the checkout price for a new printer cartridge, wondering if it's suddenly filled with unicorn tears. Seriously, how can something smaller than a burrito cost more than a week's worth of groceries? It's enough to make you want to dust off that old typewriter. But then you remember you also need a new ribbon for that. And suddenly, silence seems like a viable option. The truth is, we're being played. Printer ink is one of the most marked up products on the planet, and the companies behind it are laughing all the way to the bank, swimming in a Scrooge McDuck vault of our hard-earned cash. They've built a business model so cunning, so devious, that it makes the mafia look like amateurs. But fear not, my fellow ink-deprived comrades. We're here to expose the truth behind these shady practices, to shine a light on the dark secrets of the printer ink industry, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, we can even learn how to escape their clutches and print freely without taking out a second mortgage. So, how does this racket work? Well, it all boils down to the classic bait and switch. They lure you in with cheap, seductive printers, whispering promises of affordable prints and a life free from the shackles of paperless existence. But once you're hooked, that's when the real fun begins. Remember those starter cartridges that came with your printer? Yeah, those were basically empty. They give you just enough to print your cat's resume, and then bam! Low ink warning. Now you're forced to buy their overpriced cartridges, trapped in a cycle of dependence that would make a drug dealer blush. But wait, there's more. They also use technology to keep you on a tight leash. Ever noticed how your printer refuses to recognize third-party cartridges or accuses you of using non-genuine ink? That's not a bug, my friends, it's a feature. They've designed their printers to reject anything that doesn't line their pockets, forcing you to pay their extortionate prices. It's enough to make you want to scream, but then you realize you probably need to print out that anger management worksheet, and suddenly you're back to square one. Let's talk numbers, shall we? Because nothing says we're ripping you off like a good old-fashioned price comparison. Did you know that milliliter for milliliter, printer ink is often more expensive than fine champagne, vintage wine, or even human blood? Think about that for a second. You could literally be sipping on a bubbly beverage enjoyed by royalty for less than the cost of printing out your kid's book report. And it's not just a few cents difference, we're talking a significant markup. We're talking enough to buy a small island in the Pacific, if islands were made of cyan, magenta and yellow, of course. So the next time you're tempted to complain about the price of gasoline or housing, just remember, at least those things can get you places. Printer ink just sits there mocking you with its exorbitant price tag and smug little cartridge grin. Okay, so we've established that the printer ink industry is about as ethical as a pack of rabid weasels in a sock drawer. But what can we, the downtrodden, ink-starved masses, do about it? Give up and resort to carving messages on stone tablets? Don't despair. There are ways to fight back, to reclaim our right to affordable printing. We can choose compatible cartridges, explore ink subscription services, or even embrace the ancient art of refilling cartridges ourselves. Warning, this may involve syringes and a strong stomach. The point is, we have options. We don't have to be held hostage by these inkmongers any longer. We can break free from their clutches and print with abandon without fear of emptying our wallets. So let's rise up, my fellow ink warriors. Let's spread the word and expose these shady practices for what they are. Let's make printing affordable again. And if all else fails, we can always go back to carrier pigeons. They might be messy, but at least they don't require expensive cartridges.